Hey guys, I thought, well, more than anything, I'm just trying to keep up with a little bit of content for this weird niche of lava lamp psychopaths like myself. And I know everybody wants to see Colossus content, and I'll get to that. I got real sick and then I got real busy, so it's still kind of sitting as it was in the last video. But I'll probably get to a little bit more of that tomorrow. Tomorrow night, that lamp should theoretically be up and running as one would expect it to be. For now, I thought I would give kind of a grande update. I mean, that's definitely the most popular content. Everybody wants to redo their grandes. They're terrible garbage lamps when you get them from the factory. And realistically, if you want one to operate how they are, unless you get one in the hundred that actually functions, um, I thought I'd give a little update. One of the biggest things I wanted to point out that I've kind of moved over to doing. Um, this is something everybody, I mean, the five or six people that did this kind of thing that were willing to help me when I was getting into it initially kind of said to do. And I didn't, I didn't really get into it this way. And I kind of did it in the previous way via the heating it up with water on the outside of the globe from the sink in the previous grande video that I showed. I have moved over to heating up globes in like a lobster pot like this. A couple of people had suggested to do that originally, and I have moved over to doing that. And the biggest reason is it's not because it's a much better system. It's honestly just a little bit quicker. Um, I do so many of these things at this point now that I mean I got three of them going right now that I'm working on. Um, so anything that can make me get these lamps done quicker is realistically better at this point. So compared to what I showed you in the previous video with heat up the wax on a lamp base, pour it out, and then kind of heat up the outside of it while capping the top with your hand or uh, one of the rubber plugs that comes with the grande. Um, I moved over to heating on the stove slowly up to temperature. It gets the glass hot too, so you don't have to worry about spraying water on the outside, bringing the glass up to temp, so you can get as much wax out of it as possible. And I think realistically, I'm probably wasting a little bit less wax. It's not much, but it's something. Um, Bear with me, I'm exhausted. It's been a long week, but one of the other reasons I just threw the camera on for a couple minutes is give me suggestions. Tell me what you guys want me to do. I know everybody loves, like I said, I know everybody wants Colossus content. Obviously, that's the lamp everybody's most interested in, including me. But what do you want to know? Um, you want to know history? Do you want to know? I can pull out specific lamps and talk about how they came to be. I can and I say that, but at the same time, like I mentioned previously, my collection is not incredible right now. I probably have all around, I probably have five or six grandes that I have displayed that I run. Um, and then I have probably, I don't know, 25, 32-ounce old lava light globes at the moment. The thing is, I display a couple of grandes in my bedroom. Other than that, I don't have a crazy collection, but I've owned just about everything other than Mathmo stuff, which if you want to know more about Mathmo stuff, I'm probably not the guy to ask about that, just because I am in the U.S. and Mathmo stuff is it's not impossible to get over here, but it's tricky to get. You got to use a third party shipping company, and I've thought about it a couple times, but uh, they don't really offer anything that really gets me going. Really, like, oh, I need to have that. Other than they do offer like a big Starship lamp that comes up to here. It's kind of similar to the big custom I have in the basement. Um, but other than that, like they're just typical lava lamps to me, like anything else, and I can make things similar to what they offer. So none of it really appeals to me in the sense that I'm going to spend the kind of money that Mathmos initially charges, plus paying a third party shipping agency to get it over to the States. Um, don't mind me. I'm going to kind of be working a little bit while we're talking. So yeah, if you have any suggestions about what you want to hear about, you want me to go through history of lamps, you want me to go how certain things were developed, you want me to go how lava lamps were initially created, I can do that kind of thing. If you have any questions at all you want to know more about, I'd love to make videos about it. I've kind of turned into, not turned into, but I've kind of realized I enjoy doing lava lamp content, and people seem to enjoy it. Not to an extent, I'm not going to get famous or rich with a YouTube channel talking about lava lamps by any means, but I have been realistically enjoying myself. So anything I can do to keep the content up and keep this kind of thing going, I'd be happy to do. So if you have any suggestions for things you want me to talk about, that's great. A couple of things that came up within the last couple of weeks is just um, people were asking me about shilling grandes like these. Like seemingly everybody that gets one has numerous problems with them at this point. And you get asked, is that typical? And unfortunately, it is. Within the last year, I've bought, I don't know, 100 of these to change and modify. Like I said, I don't hide it. I do sell them, but it's not about selling them. I work a good job. I make decent money. I like to do this. It's this on my Friday nights and Saturday nights. I rip apart everything I can with lamps. This one here is something for somebody specifically that wants it. But I like to just make whatever I get in my head when I start taking one of these apart. And then when I'm done with it, it's like, okay, that's cool. And even when it is something spectacular, I don't necessarily go, I'm going to keep this one because it's really special. I just want to move on to the next project. I like finding out new things that work. So once I'm done with one, they typically go to eBay, and then that funds the next project. But people were talking about the fact that it seems like every grande that comes out now has its problems. It's sticking, it's cloudy, and that's unfortunately the overwhelming case. Out of the, I don't know if I've gotten 100 this year of these, but I probably got 70. I think I've had three that came in and were in perfect functioning condition out of the box, which is, I mean, don't get me wrong, that's unacceptable for any company selling a premium product like they do. And by they mean premium product, they're charging you, if you buy them from the lava lamp company website, the Shilling website, they're 175 bucks minimum, and you're selling a $175 lamp. You should be getting what you realistically want. And I say that at the same time, if you were, I wouldn't be able to do this all the time, because if they made perfect lamps, there wouldn't be people asking for guys like me to make them. But it is, it's inexcusable. They're products that they put out. They come out of the box. They're notoriously terrible. I think I have 25 in the basement right now, just lined up, ready to go to modify. Somebody on eBay's had them for like 120 bucks recently, new in the box, and I don't know if they were returns or what, but they're notoriously as bad as any other new shilling lamp that you get. Um, like I said, I wouldn't be able to do what I do if it wasn't for the fact that they're all terrible. But at the same time, that's not an excuse for a company to make such a lousy product. And it's funny because I say a lousy product, but 75% of the time, if I can use the original wax that comes in those lamps, I do. The wax is typically really good. It's just the fluid and everything else during shipping just goes to hell before you get them. But like I said earlier, try to, if you can, mention something in the comments. Tell me what you want to know about. Tell me what you want to make videos of. I know I mentioned before, I'm not really big on talking about how to color wax specifically, just because it's such an in-depth process, and I'm always just kind of experimenting, and I never know how it's going to turn out myself. So I don't like to be like, hey, this is how to do it, because my bag of dyes for waxes is like half a trash bag of different things, and I have certain things that I know work most of the time, but then again, I use them a different time and they don't work. I know I've been talking that I'd make a video about how to color the fluid that goes into these lamps afterwards. I know I have to get to that. It's really not complicated. If you want to know, just message me and I'll talk about it with you personally. I will eventually do it on video. I'll finish the Colossus this weekend, and I'll document as much of that as I can. And but like I said, I'm running out of things. Everybody goes, "What are you going to make for a new video?" I have 35, 40 people messaging me directly in one way or another every week, talking to me, asking me questions. Tell me what you want. At some point, I know I'm going to have to get into how to make wax from scratch with you. Everybody wants to know how to make wax from scratch. I don't do it often. I think I've made, I don't know, 6 or 7 batches of wax from scratch over the years. And it's not super complicated. Well, it is and it isn't. Um, every time I make it, it's never perfect when I mix the ingredients to make it. I always have to modify it afterwards and change the density levels. And things are floating or things aren't floating that should be. And every time I have to change something with it. So it's kind of a trial and error thing. So if I show you a video, and then the other problem is I don't 90% of the time when I make things, I don't write things down. I don't, like I should. I absolutely should, but I don't write exact formulas down that I use. And I've been trying to get more into the habit of doing that just because I've been doing the video thing more often, and I know people want to know. But I mean, wax is not rocket science. I think the last time I did it, it was mostly paraffin. I used a little bit of microcrystalline wax within it. Tetrachloroethylene, and what's the stearic acid? Let me see. I got a box right here with all my stuff in it. Yeah, stearic acid, which I only used at the end. I used a tiny bit of it because the wax that I made was too translucent. So when I made it, it was kind of clear. And there's a couple people out there that love making clear wax slants, a colored wax, but you can kind of see through it. I think it looks awful. But then again, it's just personally my preference if that's your thing. No offense. Um, so the stearic acid was actually made less translucent so you couldn't see through the wax. But at some point, I know if I'm going to continue with this, I'm going to have to get into production of wax to some extent. Um, and the other problem with that is I know I kind of strayed away from it in the last video, but I use tetrachloroethylene, which is the key ingredient in brake clean. And every time I talk about it, people go, "You shouldn't use that, it's dangerous." I've been a pseudo mechanic and a heavy equipment guy, and I have motorcycles and cars and everything else. And it's the key ingredient in brake clean. I go through so much brake clean, even on a weekly basis, that pouring a little bit into this at a lava lamp, if you're going to tell me it's bad for me, it's completely laughable. I am exposed to that constantly, and I know that people worry about it because it is, according to the state of California, slightly carcinogenic. But I mean, I've been exposed to it every day of my life. I'll probably die at 45 from some weird cancer because of all this stuff. But at the same time, I don't think if you're going to make one lamp with it every once in a while, it's going to hurt you. Me, on the other hand, because of what I do with these things, I probably stand a greater chance of uh, experiencing some of the negative effects from being exposed to it all the time. But the tetrachloroethylene is incredibly convenient to me. I use it once, twice a week in lava lamp manufacturers because when I'm messing with a new color scheme, 70% of the time I increase the buoyancy or decrease the density of the wax so it's floating in the fluid higher than it should. And when you run the lamp, it's sitting up top. So tetrachloroethylene will theoretically, realistically, increase the density of the wax. So if you have everything floating up top, it'll bring it back down. It's a it's a touchy chemical to use because you pour a little bit in and you get the wax to sink, and it's easy to overdo it, and then the wax is sit at the bottom. But at the same time, it likes to evaporate quickly. The chemical was originally developed to. That's why it still exists, and that's why people still utilize it, is because it evaporates quickly. With brake clean and the dry cleaner applications for it, they spray it on things and then it evaporates within seconds usually. But when it's in a not even a sealed container, if you have a cap on one of these things, but you have a bunch of fluid on top of that wax, it's not going to disappear like that, like it would on that application. Like you spray it on a piece of equipment, or you spray it on your jeans or shirt, whatever you're doing. Um, but it is easy to overdo it, and then when you overdo it, you got to boil it off, or if you, I mean, if you underdo it, you can always add more. But I know everybody always don't use those chemicals. Those people honestly have no idea what they're talking about. It's a convenient chemical. It's not overly dangerous. Just take the proper precautions that you use when you use it. So more stuff about the Colossus coming this week. Secondly, tell me what you want to know. Tell me if you want to know about Mathmo stuff, because I know that's a big popular one. I'll do the research. I know a little bit about them already. I'll research it if you want me to do a video on Mathmo stuff. If you want to know about the history of Lava Light in Chicago, I'll do the research. I know most of it in my head, but I'll polish up on it. Give me ideas, because I can't keep creating videos just doing what I normally do, because it'll get incredibly boring. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know what you want to hear. I'll try to keep making content, because I know there's a few hundred people that seem to really like this stuff. And let me know what you want me to do, because I don't know, other than Colossus stuff, because everybody wants to see that. But let me know. Thank you.